How a woman feels when she realizes she lost you. Alright, imagine this. Someone who thought you'd always be there suddenly wakes up to the fact that you're gone. For good. This isn't just about missing a person, it's a reality check that shakes her to the core. She starts to see everything she took for granted, the way you carried yourself, the energy you brought, and the value you added to her life. This is more than regret. It's the painful realization that some losses are permanent. And here's the kicker. Understanding what she goes through when this happens can completely shift how you see your own worth and navigate your future. Now, I want you to think about something. The Stoic philosophy, which teaches us to focus on what we can control and let go of what we can't, has a lot to say about moments like these. It reminds us that while we can't stop the natural course of life and loss, we can control how we respond, how we carry ourselves through challenges, how we choose to learn and grow from them. It's this mindset that can help you better understand not only how she feels, but how to move forward with strength and clarity, no matter what life throws your way. So stay with me, because what we're about to break down could change the way you think about yourself forever. Hey, this is James. I'm here to help you develop a Stoic mindset to master your relationships with women and take control of your dating life. If you're ready to level up, hit that subscribe button now. Let's talk about the first phase, shock and denial. Picture this. She's caught off guard, not fully understanding what's happening. Her ego steps in, trying to protect her, telling her, "You're fine. He wasn't all that important anyway." But deep down, something is shifting. That feeling of loss, it's slowly creeping in, and she can't escape it. Now let's flip this to your side for a moment. You've just been left, and everything is a blur, right? The hurt, the confusion, and the sense of being blindsided. It's all consuming. Meanwhile, she's struggling too, but she might not show it at first. Her mind starts racing, replaying the moments you shared over and over. She's scrolling through old messages, looking at pictures, rethinking every conversation, trying to pinpoint the moment it all fell apart. What went wrong? How did I let this slip away, she wonders. And here's the kicker. She never thought you'd leave. She probably believed you'd always be there, right? That's why in this phase, she's standing there in shock, realizing that you're gone for good. That moment, it's like a punch to the gut. She's just lost someone who actually meant something to her, someone who brought real value into her life. And that's a realization she can't ignore, no matter how hard she tries. Now, how does this tie into Stoicism? Well, as much as this might sting, this whole process, whether you're the one who's left or the one who's left behind, can be a powerful lesson if we look at it through the lens of Stoicism. The Stoics teach us that pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. What do I mean by that? You can't control her actions or the outcome of the relationship, but you can control how you respond to this situation. Instead of allowing this shock to overwhelm you, you have the ability to step back and process it with a clear mind. Stoicism encourages us to control our reactions, not the world around us. So, when you're hit with the reality of this loss, remember the Stoic principle. You have the power to choose your response. You can wallow in what's gone, or you can turn this into an opportunity for growth. Pain, after all, can be one of our greatest teachers. Just like she's reanalyzing everything and learning from it, you can do the same. What can you learn from this? What's the bigger lesson here for you? This moment, painful as it may be, is part of your journey, and how you face it will shape who you are moving forward. Stoicism isn't about avoiding feelings or pretending everything is fine. It's about facing them, accepting them, and using them to grow stronger. The Stoics believed in the importance of self-reflection, so now is the perfect time to do that. Ask yourself, what can I control here? How can I learn from this experience? And how can I use this to build a more resilient version of myself? It's a process of taking responsibility for your own emotions and actions, not letting external circumstances define your peace of mind. So, as you're navigating through the shock and denial, remember, you're not alone in this. You have the tools, you have the mindset, and you have the power to transform this setback into the fuel for your growth. And in the end, that's the true strength the Stoics taught us. The ability to grow stronger in the face of adversity, to accept what we cannot change, and to continue forward with resilience and wisdom. All right, let's move to the next phase. Stage 2, the wake-up call. This is when it really starts to sink in for her. It's no longer just about missing you in the moment. It's the deep, painful realization that she's lost something that, frankly, she might never find again. She starts to feel the void you left behind, that space you filled in her life. Maybe you made her feel safe, valued, understood in a way no one else did. And now, she's not getting that from anyone else. No matter who she turns to, no one can offer that same feeling, that same connection you gave her. And that realization, it's like a sharp knife to the heart. She's faced with the truth that something real, something rare is gone. But here's where it gets interesting. Her pride kicks in. On one hand, her ego is desperately trying to convince her, you're better off without him. You deserve better. But on the other hand, her heart knows the truth. It's screaming, you let the best thing you had slip away. And that moment, that inner battle, cuts deep. You can almost feel her caught in the middle of these conflicting emotions, right? Now, let's bring this back to you, and what the Stoics would say. You might be on the other end of this, feeling that loss yourself. Or maybe you're watching from the outside, seeing the damage that's been done. Either way, there's a huge lesson here, and it's rooted in Stoicism. The Stoics teach us about the nature of attachment. They remind us that everything in life, relationships, possessions, even our own thoughts, are impermanent. Nothing is guaranteed, and yet, we often get attached to things we believe will last forever. This is a big part of what makes loss so painful. We get attached, we expect, and when it's gone, we're left with nothing but the emptiness of unmet expectations. But here's where the Stoic perspective really comes in handy: the ability to accept the impermanence of things. Whether it's a relationship, a job, or a way of life, the Stoics teach us that we can't control external events, but we can control our internal responses. So, while she's battling with pride, you too can take a page from the Stoic book and reflect on how you're reacting to your own losses. Instead of letting the pain consume you, embrace the Stoic mindset of focusing on what you can control. Can you control the past or change the outcome of the relationship? But you can control how you respond to it now. You can choose to learn from this experience, use it to grow stronger, and even reflect on the value you brought to that person's life. The Stoics also remind us of the importance of self-worth and internal validation. When you start leaning on external things, whether that's someone else's approval or a relationship that's no longer there, it can shake your foundation. But a Stoic man knows that his value doesn't come from others, it comes from within. Your self-worth isn't dependent on whether she realized your value after the fact. It's something that is inherent in you, something you've built over time. And let me tell you, that's the power of Stoicism. It teaches us that even in moments of loss, we still hold the power to determine our response, to decide who we are, and to keep our inner peace intact. So while she's caught in the wake of realizing what she lost, you have the opportunity to stand strong in the face of this. You might not be able to change the past, but you have the ability to decide what comes next for you. How will you grow from this? How will you use this pain to sharpen your focus, deepen your self-awareness, and continue to move forward with strength? That's the Stoic mindset at work, embracing the reality of loss without letting it define you. It's about accepting what is and moving forward with purpose, knowing that what you've learned in the process will make you stronger, wiser, and more resilient in the future. Now let's dive into stage 3, the comparison game. This is where things really start to shift for her, and let me tell you, it's not a comfortable phase for anyone involved. Once the shock wears off, she begins to face something she wasn't prepared for: the quiet, often unspoken comparison of every man she meets to you. Now, I want you to picture this. She's out there, meeting new people, maybe going on a few dates, trying to move forward. but in the back of her mind, every single person is being judged by an invisible measuring stick. And that stick, it's you. She might not even realize it at first, but every conversation, every glance, every little thing about someone else gets weighed against the standard you set in her life. But here's where the difference lies. This isn't just about surface-level stuff. Who's taller, who's funnier, who's more charming? It's way deeper than that. She starts to realize the qualities you brought into her life, the things she didn't even recognize as rare until now. It's your patience, the way you stayed calm in stressful situations, your ambition, and how it rubbed off on her. When she meets someone who lacks that calmness under pressure, or doesn't share the same level of drive and purpose you had, it becomes crystal clear just how unique you were. Think about it. She might meet someone who can make her laugh, but they don't have the emotional stability you gave her. Or someone who might look good on paper but can't handle the pressures of life with the same resilience you did. All these little comparisons begin to add up. She starts to realize that what she lost, what she let slip through her fingers, may actually be irreplaceable. And in this moment of realization, there's a deeper understanding that clicks into place. She starts to grasp what makes a high-value man. It's not just about looking good or having charm. Number. It's about those core, deeply rooted values, the things that shape the way you lived your life. And suddenly, the patience, self-discipline, and consistency you embodied start to shine in her memory more brilliantly than they ever did before. Now here's where we bring in the Stoic perspective. In this phase, it's easy for her, and maybe even for you too, to feel the sting of loss. But the Stoics would remind us that everything is temporary, that external things like relationships, situations, or even the feelings we attach to them are all out of our control. What we can control, however, is how we react and how we carry ourselves in the face of change. Think about the Stoic teaching of amor fati, the love of one's fate. The Stoics teach us that we should not mourn the things we've lost, but rather embrace them as part of the path we are on. This doesn't mean we don't feel the loss or that it's easy, but we can choose to view every experience, every change, every moment of regret as a part of our growth. For you, as a high-value man, it's about understanding that your value isn't based on her recognition, nor on her comparisons. Your value lies in the principles you live by, the consistency you show, the patience you exhibit, and the strength you carry in difficult moments. The Stoics would tell you that the real measure of a man isn't how others perceive him, but how he behaves when no one is watching. And for her, as she goes through this comparison phase, the Stoics might suggest that this is an opportunity for self-reflection. She's starting to see what a truly high-value man looks like. And that realization is a humbling one. It's a lesson for her as well. The qualities she now recognizes as valuable weren't always clear to her when you were in her life. But that's the power of perspective, isn't it? As she compares others to you, she begins to realize that the qualities you brought into her life weren't just things that made her feel good. They were things that helped her grow, that challenged her, that made her better. And that, my friends, is something no one else can provide if they don't have the same foundational values. So, what's the takeaway here? Well, it's simple. Whether you're the one being compared or the one doing the comparing, there's a lesson in this for both of you. The Stoic mindset teaches us that true value comes from within. You define your worth by the principles you live by, and no external validation can change that. When you understand that, it doesn't matter how many times she compares others to you. You're solid in who you are, and you know that no one else can offer the same depth, the same consistency, or the same values that you do. In the end, this comparison game is more than just a reflection of what's lost. It's an opportunity for growth, for both her, who now sees the irreplaceable qualities you brought into her life, and for you, who can use this time to strengthen your own resolve and focus on what truly matters. Stage 4. Regret and self-reflection. When the full weight of her loss finally settles in, it ushers her into a new phase: intense regret. At this point, distractions don't help. She's no longer chasing new connections to fill the void, or trying to escape her emotions. Instead, she's left with herself, and the reflection is sobering. Her regret isn't just about losing you. It's about losing the version of herself that once aligned with someone as grounded as you. She begins to question her choices, what she said, what she did, and even what she valued. This phase brings moments of deep introspection, where she starts to see how her actions and decisions shaped the outcome. It's not just about missing you anymore. It's about facing the realization that her own behavior may have pushed away something truly rare and meaningful. And now she's left to wonder if she'll ever find it again. In the quiet moments, she begins to feel the weight of her decisions. All the little arguments, the times she brushed you off, or the moments she didn't appreciate, the things she ignored, start to come to the surface. She starts to see how her actions played a part in pushing you away. She might even wonder, did I truly value him? Or was I just letting my ego get in the way? This realization isn't easy. It forces her to confront her flaws, her insecurities, and her behavior that led to this point. The regret she feels isn't something that fades away quickly. It sticks with her, eating away at her as the days go by. She might find herself thinking about what could have been if she had just treated you better, if she had been more understanding or given the relationship a real chance. These thoughts are painful because they show her where she fell short, where you were the one showing up while she held back. As she reflects, she's forced to face her own emotional immaturity and insecurities. It's a painful lesson, but an important one. She starts to understand how crucial it is to value someone who genuinely treats her well, someone who helps her grow. She begins to see that you were more than just a partner. You were a person with strong principles, integrity, and values that are hard to come by. This reflection also makes her question her own sense of self-worth and what she truly wants in a relationship. It's a humbling moment for her, realizing that she didn't just lose a great partner, she lost a chance to grow alongside someone truly remarkable. Stage 5. The desire to reconnection. Then comes the urge to reconnect. As regret sets in, she feels a strong pull to reach out to you. It's not just a simple impulse. It's a deep yearning to experience what she had with you once more. She feels the need to talk, to clear the air, and maybe even apologize for things she once shrugged off. This desire is overwhelming because it comes from a place of unfinished business and the emptiness that your absence has created. It's no longer about pride or ego. It's about finding peace with a decision she now knows was a mistake. Now she realizes that her decision was a mistake. She might even try to tell herself that if given another chance, she could make things right. This longing to reconnect comes from the understanding that you brought out the best in her, even if she didn't notice it back then. When she looks back on your actions, your consistency, patience, and understanding, she starts to realize that those qualities made her feel safe, valued, and truly seen. Now she's willing to do whatever it takes to get that back. The problem is, by the time she figures all of this out, it might already be too late. You've probably moved on, become stronger, and grown without her. She knows deep down that reaching out now might not change anything, but that doesn't stop the desire. It's no longer about what can actually happen. It's about what she wishes could be, even if it's just a dream. All right, before we jump back in, if you're finding this helpful, hit that like button. It helps YouTube share this with more men who need it, and it keeps the content coming. It's quick, free, and it makes a real difference. Thanks. Let's get back to it. All right, now let's step into stage 6, acceptance and growth. This is the point where, after all the emotional turmoil, the regrets, the attempts to reconnect, she finally begins to accept what's happened. It's not this peaceful, serene moment where everything clicks right away, though. Far from it. It's more like the quiet realization that some things simply cannot be fixed. She starts to accept that you've moved on, that the chance for someone like you has passed. And that, well, that's tough to swallow. Now, I want you to imagine her in this moment. She's been through all the stages, the shock, the comparison game, and now she's forced to face the harsh reality. The relationship is over. and the connection she had with you, the one she now realizes was special, is gone. This moment of acceptance isn't easy. It's more of a bitter pill to swallow. But it's necessary, and it's the turning point that she may need for her own growth. Here's where the real change happens. In this stage, she finally takes full responsibility for her choices. The defensive excuses, they start to fade. She recognizes that her actions played a role in how things ended, and while it may sting, it's also the beginning of something better. Growth. And you know what's beautiful about this? It's exactly what the Stoics teach us. The obstacle is the way. Marcus Aurelius said it perfectly. For her, the obstacle she faces, the regret, the pain, is the very thing that can lead to growth. She begins to understand that life isn't always about avoiding pain or regret. It's about facing those tough moments head-on, accepting what she can't change, and using that understanding to grow into a stronger person. This stage is powerful because it's where she learns to value herself more deeply. It's here that she'll recognize the importance of qualities like loyalty, integrity, and humility. Things that she might not have fully appreciated before. She learns to look at herself in a new light, realizing that the relationship she lost wasn't just about losing you. It was about losing a version of herself that she once admired, but couldn't keep. You see, the Stoics were all about this idea of personal responsibility. It's about recognizing your part in everything that happens around you. And as difficult as it may be, accepting responsibility for your role is the first step toward true growth. For her, this lesson might not be easy, but it's foundational for her future relationships. It teaches her that she must value herself more, be more honest, and hold herself to a higher standard of integrity. For you, as the high-value man you are, this whole process is a reminder of something important. It's a reminder of the kind of strength, stability, and self-discipline that sets you apart. The Stoic view reminds us that we can't control the actions or feelings of others, but we can control how we respond to the situation. You've moved on, and that's a testament to your ability to focus on what's within your control. But here's the twist. Even in her growth, even with all this newfound wisdom, she will still hold on to a piece of you. Not necessarily as a lingering regret, but as a lesson. She will look back and remember you, not just as someone from her past, but as a walking, breathing lesson in what it truly means to be high value. This is where her growth begins to form a foundation for better things in her future. She'll recognize that the rare qualities you brought into her life, qualities that she once overlooked, are exactly what she needs to seek in herself and in others. This journey, painful as it was, has shaped her, and it's a reminder that growth often comes through difficulty, just like the Stoics taught. And you're the lesson. You are the standard she'll never forget, not because of how you looked or what you did for her, but because of the strength and character you showed, even when things weren't easy. You set a bar for what it means to be a man of value, and now she has no choice but to learn from it. So, to everyone listening, let this be a reminder. Sometimes, the hardest moments are the ones that teach us the most. It's about accepting what we can't control, taking responsibility for our actions, and allowing ourselves the space to grow. That's the Stoic way. And in the end, no matter how much time passes, the lessons we leave behind are often the most important thing we give to others. Stage 7. The lingering reminders. Once she starts accepting that she's lost you, she's faced with countless reminders of what used to be. These reminders aren't just about old photos or things you used to do together. They sneak into everyday life in ways she wasn't expecting. It might be a song playing on the radio that you both loved, or a scent that takes her back to a special moment with you. Even simple things like walking past a place you both went to, or hearing someone mention a book you recommended can stir up a wave of emotions. These reminders are everywhere, like quiet echoes of the past, constantly reminding her of the impact you had on her life. As she encounters them, she can't shake the feeling that she lost something truly important. Each reminder acts like a mirror, reflecting the love, comfort, and growth that were a part of your relationship. At first, she might try to ignore these feelings, telling herself it's no big deal. But as they happen more often, they deepen her sense of loss. She starts to see that the moments you shared weren't just ordinary. They were meaningful, shaping her in ways she didn't fully understand before. These reminders are like little ghosts of what could have been, quietly following her. They're the silent witnesses to a connection that once felt like everything. Stage 8. The growing sense of emptiness. Once she starts to understand that no new experience can truly replace what you brought into her life, an empty feeling begins to take over. This isn't just loneliness, it's a deeper emptiness, one that comes from losing someone who really got her. She begins to realize that there's a void inside, and that void is a reminder of what you gave her, something no one else can fill. It's not just that she misses you as a person, it's that she misses how you made her feel, seen, valued, and respected. She starts trying to fill that emptiness by distracting herself. She might dive into new hobbies or even try to meet new people, thinking that might help. But with every new attempt, she just feels the same hollow feeling. Each time she tries to replace what she lost, she finds that nothing truly works. The emptiness is still there, like a quiet reminder of the unique connection you shared, a connection that wasn't just about surface-level things, but about real understanding and closeness. This feeling of emptiness often pushes her to reflect on what she lost. She starts to see that you weren't just another person in her life. You were someone who gave it real depth and meaning. The more she realizes this, the stronger her regret becomes, making her wish she had held on to you, appreciated you more, and valued the stability and love you offered. Stage 9. Realizing the depth of her mistakes. In the quiet moments when she reflects on everything, she starts to see her mistakes more clearly than ever before. It's no longer just about feeling sorry. It's about understanding the exact actions and attitudes that led to this situation. This is the point where she faces the habits, insecurities, and assumptions that created distance between you two. She starts to remember times when she ignored your kindness or took your efforts for granted. She might think back to arguments where her pride took over, pushing you away instead of choosing understanding. Realizing her mistakes is a humbling experience. She sees how, in those small moments, she could have been more kind, more supportive, or more patient. Every little action she regrets now feels bigger than it did before. She starts to understand that it wasn't one big thing that caused you to drift apart, but a collection of small choices made over time. Each memory reminds her of how little by little she chipped away at the foundation of what you two had. This phase is tough because it forces her to take responsibility for things she might have avoided before. She has to admit that part of the loss she feels is because of her own actions and decisions. As she accepts this, she realizes that your qualities, your patience, understanding, and loyalty were rare, and not nurturing those qualities in you was a big mistake on her part. Stage 10. The desire to improve herself. After all the deep self-reflection and realizing her mistakes, she starts to feel a real urge to improve herself. Losing you has sparked a change in her, making her see that certain behaviors and habits were stopping her from having a deeper, more meaningful connection. This isn't an easy part of her journey. It's uncomfortable, because it forces her to face parts of herself she had ignored or made excuses for before. She might realize she needs to get better at things like communicating, trusting others, or even learning how to let go of her pride when it gets in the way of what really matters. This desire to improve leads her to seek help, whether it's reading self-help books, going to therapy, or asking friends for advice. She's now motivated by the understanding that if she doesn't change, she might lose more important relationships in the future. Whereas before, she may have brushed these issues aside, losing you was the wake-up call she needed to tackle them directly. Her desire to grow comes from the hope that one day she can experience that deep connection again, like the one she had with you. She knows she can't fix the past, but this phase gives her the chance to work toward a better future. It's a way for her to honor what you brought into her life. She realizes that high-value relationships need high-value qualities to thrive, and if she wants someone like you in her life again, she must first become someone who values and nurtures those qualities. This is the path she walks now, one of growth and self-improvement after realizing she lost someone truly special. Your impact, just by being yourself and living by your values, has taught her a powerful lesson. If you found this insight helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe for more on Stoicism, relationships, and personal growth. Drop a comment below to let us know what stood out to you most. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for watching, and remember to stay grounded.